Oh, here it is lunchtime, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Albob. I am your griot Sensei Albob, and I'm here touch base with you. I am heading into the deep green, and this is my last chance to say anything to y'all. So, again, I'm going to be less present, and I want you to be more present. I want you to, in every day and every way, take the piece of the earth and make it stronger through love's co-creation. And remember, our little show here is you, not me. I'm just your griot telling you a story. It's what you do with the story, right? I never say, "Hey, yo, believe everything I say." No, I'm here, you know, telling you a story. And this show, Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Bob, is more or less an entertaining ceremony, right? Don't believe anything I say. Don't think any of this is real. It's since there's one of you there, let's go to the live chat. There you go, live chat. And so I wrote something back in, when did I write this? 2009. And this is when I was, pretty sick and was ignoring being pretty sick. And I was just getting more and more sick, but I was still in the bosom of the corporate hedonist structure. And so I was watching what was going on. And the city of Roanoke, Virginia, I've stayed there 20 years. I've never per se lived there, meaning I had a beautiful castle on top of a mountain that was George and Inga Silmanovich's school, which never quite went off because the energetics up there is so intense that most people would go blah blah. And so it's a hard place. I had my mystery school up there for a couple of years, for about a month every summer, and I would get somewhere between 10 and 40 people. And nobody wanted to do ceremony. Nobody wanted to do the work. They just wanted to and do what the heck they wanted and give me $300, and I would give them a certificate. Meaning all of the great masters I studied under never gave me a certificate. They just opened up my eyes and my heart and my chakras so I could do the work they wanted me to do. So that's the real thing. That's what this show is. It's entertainment. I'm telling you stories, and knowing that you're going to be the pebble in the pond. So I'm going to read you this little thing I put together. I put many. I get paid for 30 years to write these white papers on all kinds of stuff. So here's one. I call it cover page. No Fear Cafe, a new beginning. Issues to represent. Right? And I wrote it 3/24/16. I started thinking about this and taking notes like I write every day, right? But here's the white paper that I put out on 3/24/16, right? To have a healthy community, its collective mind needs to be open, free of prejudicial thoughts, actions, and deeds. To this end, we put forth this action plan to create an opportunity to a forward functional community manifesting the best outcome for all our relations, everyone and thing, past, present, and future. And the No Fake Cafe, right? It's not so much, hey, but I made the great social change by having all these dumpster restaurants and zombie apocalypse nightclubs and things that opened up people's minds, not just so they could forget about stuff. The No Fear Cafe is a philosophy, a way of life. To live, one has to love. And to love, one has to live in a state of no fear. I mean, our whole culture, our whole consumerism, our whole everything, it's all about fear. The other, what did our present president run on? But fear of the bad dudes and hombres. Oh, you can give me my old check,
Yeah.
right? Uh, so what do you do in this town?
What do I do? It depends on the weather. If it's nice out, I like to go to the river, go on
Oh,
a hike.
so have you gone to the waterfall along 321?
On 321? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, well, you should.
Which one is it? Are you talking about Trash Can Falls?
Well, you go over the bridge, and there's a nice little place you can put your inner tube in the water,
Uh-huh.
right? And then you go back
Oh,
a little further, and then you have to go down that thing. If you go
yeah.
to the other side, there's a gigantic waterfall
Really?
that feeds this.
I've never
Right?
been there.
Oh, you should.
Yeah.
Then, if you go, another 6 to 8 miles, there's a place where there used to be a gas station that burned down.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And then there's a
That's
road.
Sky Ford, right?
Right.
Yeah, I
and,
go out there.
and that's really nice because there's a beach there.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite
Right,
places.
right. So how much we owe you there?
We're at 2408.
Okay. Da.
Yeah, but it's been pretty crappy weather lately, so I've just been sitting in my apartment watching TV, getting cabin fever.
Not a good thing.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll be right back for you.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Thank you, flower girl. So here I am at my IHOP office, and that's one of the IHOP girls. And I try to treat them well so they can, I got here at 9 and it's now 12:21, and it's still sunny. I will leave before the clouds roll in. I like to get back home before it starts to rain. And that's what the weather has been. It's mostly been sunny, but yeah, when it rains, because this is a rainforest, Now they've had really dry summers the last 4 or 5, so they got used to, barbecuing the day away. But now it's kind of going back into more it's what it used to be back 30 years ago when I first got here. Anyway, let's see. The No Fear Cafe is a philosophy, a way of life. To live, one has to love. To want, there that is. There this is. There that is. And here, you keep this. That, and here, put your hand out there.
Thank you.
I don't need that.
Have a good rest of your day. Okay?
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Oh, yeah. At least once a week. Yep. Anyway, I'm down to one Canadian $5 bill. I keep that there as my primer. Dragon gave that to me. And I got about another 60 or so, $70. Anyway, where are we? So, transparency will be, I'll go back to the beginning. The No Fear Cafe is a philosophy, a way of life. To live, one has to love, and to love, one has to live in a state of no fear. Transparency will be this community's foundation of a new social contract between the citizen, the political, and the bureaucratic arms of the city government, or government, period. This is written for Roanoke, Virginia, because Roanoke's a microcosm of America. It's not a cracker town like Lynchington or Bedford or Lexington or Blacksburg. This is actually everybody. It's a cosmopolitan town, and that's why I picked to live there, because demographically, I used to have to travel all over America to look at the demographics, but I can see what's going on all across the planet by just observing what's going on in Roanoke, For all to express their individual requirements to communicate to the community's one perspective, feeling, and passion of thought. This new truthful political environment needs to be brought out to a physical community of a city by first moving the city council monthly meetings to a time that the community can be present and be televised on community access and YouTube. The mayor should invite all boards that have a profound physical effect on the well-being of the community, such as the Chamber of Commerce, United Way, Habitat, Mission, to do the same. The bottom line is what I'm talking about is like we don't live in a capitalist state. What's capitalism is when people, compete, and we live in a oligarchy, a corporate oligarchy, a corporate fascist oligarchy where the rich own everything, control everything. We have the best legislators money can buy, and it's our place, in a republic. Ben Franklin, when asked, "What kind of government are we going to have? We going to have a king? What are we going to have?" He said, "No, we're going to have a republic democracy." What's that? He said, "When you folks are involved, it'll work. When you're not, it's going to be the worst you've ever seen." And that's kind of where we're at now. Worst you ever seen. And our government, see, the real problem of Virginia, it's a commonwealth. And that means every city, community, county is controlled by the state legislators, right? There is no political power. Tip O'Neill said that all politics is local, and it's been reversed. Everything comes from the state capital. Like our city, they can't. They're having a real issue with a lot of people getting whacked. Everybody's got a 9 stuck in their belt, and they want to legislate. They can't. They can't do anything unless it's done through the state capital. And the state capital has sliced and diced everything to the point where no matter who's the government or even who's in the thing, the Republican, the neocons, not so much the Republicans, but it's not Republicans and Democrats, it's the neoliberals and the neocons. And the poor people in the middle are slaves, right? The new administration needs to use the city's website and communicate every action that affects the life of the community. Every office will list every action, every meeting, minutes. And what's interesting is Roanoke actually does do all this, And like I said, I wrote the original one in 2009 and kept, hammering at this. They actually did it, right? But it didn't make any difference because nobody read it. Because no one understood within their political structure, the citizens, that they had a responsibility. They thought it was like, Santa Claus, and that these were gifts given to them. No, these are relationships of responsibilities, right? And so that's where we have to go. That's what I want you, the cadre, to step up and be. That's why I call this the No Fear Cafe. You need to start a cafe. Not so much a place where people get a coffee, but where people can live in that no fear zone, right? And the cafe is the zone. And back in the day, everyone hung out at the cafe, right? It was the center of the social structure. I mean, look at the movie Casablanca. Rick's was the cafe. Yes, they were gambling. Yes, they were drinking. Yes, they were dancing. Yes, they were singing. But it was a cafe, more or less, And every office has to be open. And in our government, it kind of is, but it's also owned real estate, especially the higher you go up, the national, Congress and Senate and president, these are all bought. Do you think Donald Trump actually got elected? No, he got put in office, because he was run against the one person he could run against, and that was Hillary Clinton, the most hated person in America. And still, she won the popular vote. Any place else on the planet, she'd be president by now. And Bernie Sanders would have won hands down if he was, but Hillary and the Democratic Party stole it from Bernie, right? So we do have open government. It's just that nobody takes advantage of it or gets involved. But about the city's website, wherever listening of every action can be spoken to. and affected by every citizen, giving every action of the city a real time frame to be responsible. Factionalization, the longhouse, you know, and we have always been in this factionalized kind of environment, where it's always been them. I mean, you think this, the Mexicans and the Muslims were the first people? No. The Indians were the first people obliterated. Can I have a few more napkins? Okay. And we need to realize, it's the we and me. Thank you, darling.
You're welcome.
And we have to embrace that we all belong here, and we have to, how to get over factionalization, the organizational structure. It's the Longhouse. Longhouse was the Iroquois nation deliberative body where all were heard and respected. This was what our Congress was based upon and meant to be, more than present legislative whorehouse of commerce. Right? Political mandate is to inform truthfully without bias, to educate, to enable the listener to be able to act as a responsible citizen. Real-time civics, right? And Mr. Goebbels, read the books of Freud and the Tavistock Institute, even though Freud was put on the list of first to be whacked by the Nazis, but he got out of town, right? Because the Illuminati, and I don't like calling them that because they're more than that. It's I call it the hidden hand. And if you've ever seen any of the Marvel Captain American movies, that's exactly where we're at. The ruling class is that hidden hand. Hail Hydra, that hidden hand. And end of World War II, the German folks were once again bombed into the Stone Age, yet the Nazis were set free through the rat line, through the Vatican. And we, the United States, through Operation Paperclip, brought 70,000 Nazis into our government. Werner von Braun was the poster child, and he wasn't a nice guy. He nailed people to the ceiling if they didn't work hard enough, and I mean it. I mean, when General Patton got there to protect, Petamunda from the Russians, we already took blueprints and a lot of hardware and the scientists away, and but we left, Patton, he was heading straight to Berlin. And he could have ended the war in about 3 weeks, but they had him go that way over to Poland and protect that technology from the Russians. And also politically, they wanted money to go into Berlin. So they had to wait almost half a year. Like 250,000 people died. And Pat he was on the move. He was ahead of the Germans. He had his supplies right there with him. He could have ended the war. But he was sent over there, and he's a good soldier. And he found all these people, some of them still alive, pinned to the ceiling of the underground factory, building the V1s and the V2s and the ME 262s. And Hungary fell to the Russians because that's where the Nazis had their most, their Area 51. That's where they were building time machines and zero-point energy and flying saucers and death rays. And basically the Nazis killed anybody who knew anything and took the really smart folk, the people head of their own version of DARPA, and first took them to Argentina and then took them to Australia. And this is all very right in front of your eyes, kind of just go and look, Google Operation Paperclip, and that'll Operation Paperclip, and that will take you down. And, It'll show you everything. It's really, but you got to keep going and digging through the rabbit hole, but it's all there, you know. Hey, Lana. You know, Lana, I didn't want to sick you on John Boy, that you were eating him alive. And yep, the Black Hand. Right. Same guys. And I try not to let John hijack. So I, can't do shows from the school anymore. Because once he jumps in, I just step back and let him do it because he is a perfect picture of the canary in the coal mine. He can't hurt me. The only thing that can hurt people is themselves. And to be hurt, you have to be scared of something. I'm not scared of anything, but I love you, Anna. I feel your energy and your trueness and everything about you and your experience that you've gone through is really valid one. You really need to start. I mean, I write every day. I have my writing computer that's so old it's not hooked to the internet, and my only internet, is called the Chrome, and it has no hard drive. So that's what I'm reading off here. My little discourse that I started writing in '09. Lana, you're a great writer. You've had great experiences. You got to start writing it down, right? Now, my brain as a kid moved so fast that I couldn't write anything down. That's why I became a storyteller at Chrome, right? But all those years in universities and, from the age of 7, I was put in very, what's the right word? Parochial is not the right word. And controlled is not the right word, but scholarly, that's the word. When that nun in first grade nearly killed me, beating me up, breaking my jaw, breaking the orbit, and the head nun was about to put me in a Catholic mental institution. My mom said, nope. Picked me up, took me to the hospital, and my cardinal put me in a group of Maryknoll priests, and they were all thinkers. It wasn't a church. It was this place in Garden City, Long Island, that was a rich person's big house, and they just thought about stuff, and they weren't controlled by the Vatican. I mean, they were, but they were the one group that was left to be free to think about anything. So there were like 9 guys in there, and they had gotten rid of the collar and the whole thing, and were turtlenecks, right? And one was a theologian, one was a mathematician, one was a linguist, one was he worked with Alan Turing on breaking the Enigma code. One was a biologist and understood DNA. He was a Greek scholar, and the Greeks understood about DNA. So he knew it way before Crypt and Crook, barbecued that poor girl who really should have gotten the Nobel Prize, because she's the one who discovered DNA through the X-ray cosmology. She kept taking X-rays of the mitosis and watched it all happen, right? And she wrote the paper on it, and then she died of ovarian cancer, being exposed to the X-rays for so long, and Crypt and Crook took the credit. What happened to the Greeks? Well, they were full of themselves because they didn't discover anything. They were just around long enough to speak to people who had been in Atlantis and Lemuria. They spoke to people who were of the hidden societies of the Anunnaki. They were the only guys who got kind of the hidden story. And then because they were griots, like Sophocles, who taught Alexander, he wasn't like making him write it down. He was telling them stories, right? And that's why Soph had to kill himself, because, before Rome, there was Greece, the Greek Empire. The Greek, once, when they were city-states, it was one thing. When they became the Greek Empire, they actually became the Roman Empire. So, and anyway, Latin, my favorite language. Yeah. because it's so close to Hebrew. You can both Latin and Hebrew are texts of numbers, right? And Hebrew goes even further because it's got the Kabbalah, the mathematical equation of what's going on. So, and when I had my mystery school, nobody wanted to learn this. Nobody wanted to hear this. I would have the fire, and I wanted to tell them stories and then put them in state and have me hear what they were saying. All they wanted to do was get drunk, smoke pot, and eat s'mores, and give me $300 to give them a certificate saying that they were shaman. And second year, I made them pay me up front without the promise of a certificate. And had all kinds of rules, like can't bring your dog, can't do this, can't do that. And still people would, they to come on, they had to sign a thing saying that they would abide by these rules, but none of them did. Anyway, when I was studying under, and I wasn't even a master, I was just their sensei, but I studied under my master, and I didn't have to sign a contract. I just, through respect, did everything. Yep. Anyway, so let's go back to the text here. Every office will list every blah, blah, blah. Let's see. So the Longhouse. The Longhouse was the Iroquois Nation's deliberation body. Yeah, guys, look it up. So I want to start a thing called the Hedgerow Longhouse, a mixture of the Celtic. So when the Romans conquered Ireland, there were all these hedgerows. They moved all the rocks so they could grow stuff. And they moved them to make fences. And over 800 years, those fences became like 12 stories high and all growing through all kinds of things, holly and rose and all kinds of thorny bushes. So you could not get, and that thing wasn't like a couple feet wide. No, it was like, 40, 50, 100 feet wide. So the Roman Empire, you could hear them on their horses, and so the Druids would be on the other side. They could hear them coming, and they knew that the Romans would have to, even if they could tell the Druids are on this side, they'd have to go all the way up and all the way back, like 30 miles this way, and so they'd be gone by the time. So that's where the whole story of the mystery schools came from, right? Hey, Sarah. And so that's what I wanted to start, was the Hedgerow Longhouse. And when we go into state and we go into our the cadre's house in our collective superconscious mind that Jung talks about, of metaphor, we have our own house, right? And it's called the Oracle of Delphi. And over those 42-foot doors that go into the Great Hall is in Latin, know thyself, right? And our big house looks just like Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water in Pennsylvania, but a really big one, right? And you go down the main hall, and on this side are the 9 doors, right? And on this side are all the coat rooms for all the different masters' lodges. Then you come into common space and go to the right is where the dining hall is. It looks just like straight out of Hogwarts. That's where they got it from. You go straight to the forward, and you see the opening to the Hedgerow Longhouse. And it's like going out into a great forest, surrounded by stone walls that are full of all of these thorny bushes that go up into the sky. So the Longhouse, which is the Iroquois deliberatory, right here. Let's see. The Longhouse was the Iroquois nation's deliberatory body where all were heard and respected. This was what our Congress was based upon and meant to be more than the present legislative whorehouse of commerce. Political mandate is to inform truthfully without bias, to educate, to enable the listener to be able to act as a responsible citizen, real-time civics. Expand the city government leadership college, and that's what we need. There is no more civics in our schools. Our public schools are simply an oppressive environment to mind control young people, right? Destroy their thirst to understand. Expand the city government, let's say, to college to represent citizens' representation into every fiber of government, bringing back civics to every citizen by education everyone in the city. City responsible to first with children from K to 12, then college, community trade, degree. Like in our town, we have lots of buildings. We have big, we have Carillion, the big gorilla of medicine. They're turning it, Roanoke from the city that what made it famous was transportation, innovation, and manufacturing, right? And through that, everyone had a great life, had great commerce. And now they've destroyed that. And now just the rich win, right? And everyone else is distracted by hipsterism. And our city actually is quite open, but nobody looks at the avenues, right? And pretty much that's because for 20 years, hey, we got to do this. And the politicians saw no, okay, we'll do that. But nobody gets involved, right? Everyone views each other as the other. And the politicians, oh, I wish it could be. Look, we're trying, hey. Anyway, hey, how about some thumbs up, guys? Come on. And the other thing I would really like is some comments. I mean, I love the chat. Yes, that's great. But I'd like some, I go back and look at the comment section and come on. And you should go back and look at the past shows and comment on them. So, incest, investment business, like monarchy in Europe. Yeah, pretty much. That's the thing that runs Roanoke, Virginia, is we have not only one, but two chambers of commerce. And they are the guys buying the state legislators. So that's kind of, and until the people really get involved. And all the people do is carry nines in their waistband and shoot each other, pretty much. And our environment is super, super toxic, because the railroads are probably one of the most, because they, from the very beginning, from, Biltmore and all the Gilded Age guys, the old wealth, and they made it through banking and railroads. Before Morgan, Rockefeller, Edison, Carnegie. And Edison was just, a dancing monkey. These other guys. And those other guys were just dancing. After Morgan died, it was found that he only owned 12% of Morgan Trust. That good old Mr. Rothschild owned the rest. And all of the FDIC is owned by Mr. Rothschild. Our FDIC, Federal Reserve, has nothing to do with the federal government. Federal Express has more to do with the federal government because it's owned by the CIA. The people at FDIC who run our banks, who print our money, who hold our gold, and we have no gold left. Where all the gold on this planet is going? Off planet. Why is gold? Why did all the guys like the Anunnaki? Why do they even make us? Because they needed slaves to dig the gold up to send off planet. That's where gold goes, off planet. Because the real value of gold is so, when Moses was out in the hinterlands for 40 years and forever, they had no food. They were just moseying around through the desert. So where did they get their food? Every morning they'd be covered in manna. What was manna? Monatomic gold. And what, every time I send you off into guided meditation, what do I do? Oh, breathe 20%, breathe out 30%. Then I have you connect the prana through your body, through your iron-rich blood into your chi. And that's, that right there is alchemy. That's what gives our little bag of water animation. And it's that gold. The prana is that mana. And it's called Ananaka Manata gold. meaning it's, they talk about red Mercury, that's mana, you know. Anyway, Mercury 3 and the moon, that's mana. And they said, oh, the moon's made out of green cheese, mana. It's a manufacturing. It's our moon is an artificial satellite put there to, animate the human race. It didn't, it stays in one place, showing us only one side of it. No other moon in our solar system does that, Anyway, let's see what else I wrote here. Ba-da-boo-boo. Let's see. Political mandate must be facilitated not as an opiate of inactivity, but to expand the citizen's mind to a higher calling of responsibility that comes with co-creating. Loves co-creation. Each member of our community needs to exemplify the service of the we and me. Each must have the ability to bring by their presence the most positive outcome to our community cultivation's ability to change for the better the social, political, economic prosperity of all our community, all our relations. By manifesting a community of abundance where we all share and support each other to our best. By being our best through example, we will accomplish the most positive outcome for all our community, all our relations. From the outset, this campaign of building our community has to manifest a connection with the disconnected, to be the change and not be the same old, same blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of where we're at. The Romans bought the folk off with, bread and circus. We're being bought off with fast food and big screen TVs. And look at me. Here I am sitting in my office at IHOP, and I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner for under $20, And I gave, my waitress who lets me occupy this piece of real estate, a nice tip. She really, whoa. They all know I'm a homeless guy. I kept with anybody else. I've been there, done it, know the story. The sad thing, most of these girls, Miss, did you go to college here?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And you're now working at IHOP. Mm-hmm. Have you finished college?
No, I haven't. I'm a junior.
Oh. So what are you going to do when you graduate?
Probably trying to get a job, work at a hospital with elderly people.
Is that what you're trained to do?
Mm-hmm.
What did you get your degree in?
Sociology of Health and Aging.
You should go for a little longer and get an MSW.
MSW?
Master's in Social Work.
Oh.
Because that allows you to do, it's a one degree that allows you to do anything.
Oh.
Not just be a counselor, not just work with old people, anything. Even you can become a shrink with an MSW.
Oh, okay.
Anywhere in the United States.
Okay.
So just just going a little bit more hawk, and I have that degree, and I've been using it for the last 30 years, and I do everything.
Oh, okay.
Not just one thing, everything.
Yeah, sounds cool.
Go talk to you. Do you have any teachers that are a good advisor to you? Do you have any mentors in school?
Not any mentors, but
you need to find one right now. Are you going into your senior year, or are you going to go into your junior year?
This is my first year being a junior.
You mean your first semester?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you're going to be a junior in fall too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, right now, so you going to classes right now?
No.
Well, still, you're part of the school. Go and find. Right, but this is the time to find a mentor, someone who will care about you. Let's see your palm. Put your hand up. The one you write with. Well, you're ridiculously sweet. You're like sweeter than cotton candy. You kind of overthink everything. You're honest, but you're shy. You're very you've experienced a lot of hard knocks in life and you realize, screw it, I'm just going to stay out of harm's way. Let's see this side of your hand. A really smart girl, smarter than most people. You're ridiculously empathetic. So yeah, you need to get an MSW because that'll make you a shrink. You'll be very successful at that. Otherwise, you'll be just held for the rest of your career.
Okay.
And now that you're young, how old are you? 20?
21.
Right. So you'll be able to get your master's degree by the time you're 24, right? And you won't be that much more in hock. But you need a mentor. You need somebody who would speak to you just like I did, right?
Yeah.
Not just, oh, I got my next doing in 5 minutes. No, who will really care. So go up there, when your next day off and during the week and go into every department that's somewhat like sociology, psychology, anthropology, any of those things. Find that person you connect to. How many professors in that school are people of color? Any color, even a suntan. Not many. Not many. We'll go find one because most of those other people are what are known as scholastics. They're in a box. They just want to be a tenured professor. They don't care. Go find somebody who cares.
Okay.
Won't depend on their color, but that may help.
Okay. Thank you.
Like I said, even a suntan.
Thank you.
And that's what's needed to be done. Talk to people like that. Mm-hmm. I got a lot of degrees because I was a scholar in universities for almost 30 years. And I didn't go into those colleges representing the colleges. I'd be representing somebody else, somebody like, some institute, some think tank, somebody like some foundation. They'd want me to look at something in that deeper way, the scholarly way rather than the scholastic way. And they would be funding some study, and or some program. And it would be run in a scholastic kind of way. But they'd send me there as, not so much the overseer, but the person who had total access. Who could, the guy who was running it, who was the boss, he didn't have to do what I said, but I could walk in their office and, close the door and talk to them. And they'd want to know what are you thinking now? Right? And I'd be taken and shown things that most people wouldn't see because they would want as I keep telling people, you're prejudiced. What do you mean? I like black people. Some of my friends are. No, that's racist. Being prejudiced means you believe in your own opinion. I have no opinions. I don't believe in anything. All I have is faith in love's co-creation. So instead of saying something, I reached out to that young girl, right? So where did we leave off? By manifesting a community of abundance where we all share and support each other to our best by being our best. Through example, we will accomplish the most positive outcome for all our community, all our relations. And that's why I dubbed this the No Fear Cafe, because we need that kind of community spirit of a cafe, right? From the outset, this campaign of building our community has to manifest a connection with the discontent to be the change and not the same old same, blah, blah, blah. Right now, that's where, Black Lives Matter, the pink girls, whatever group it is, it's still just a blah, blah, blah because they're not coming together as all our relations. There are many things that government can do to create a better social, commercially, financially, educational, employment, health, safety, environment. But they don't. That's what the Constitution says that government was put together here to do, right? So from the outside, right, yeah. So social community fabric is woven by the action and leadership of its elected officials and appointed administrators and civil servants. This fabric foundation is first and foremost based on the needs and welfare of the citizens. So do you see any governmental structure doing that? No. So that's what I was trying to get the city of Roanoke to do. And they've come, almost 40 degrees the other way. And I've gotten the two Chamber of Commerce to do it too, because they realize that by seemingly to do that, they're all good. Hey, see, we're seemingly doing this, right? And my little pebble, even though they're seemingly doing it, if they keep chugging away at it, they may someday do it. But I spent 20 years there and I've done all I can. I still come in, like I went there and got my physical medical needs taken care of. But during that time, I enabled, a number of people to change things in their life. So they're now doing like, you went and saw our last week's show I did with Darlene. She's running not for, city council, not for county administrator, but for state legislature, which is where the power is. I said, forget those two. Go be that. Be the Darlene in that, right? And she, if she does what I tell her, I said, forget everything these other chuckleheads are doing. Go to one church every Sunday and Wednesday and tell your story, right? Write a letter to the Roanoke Times once a week. Tell your story. And you'll be elected, period. You want to spend any money or do anything, get committees? No, just do that. And I started her down that path. Hopefully, she will stick at it. And because I'm not really there, I'll be back there in a month. Election day is November, so I'm going to come back in about a month to try and do something like little slight navigational things. But I've got her a pretty good crew, and so hopefully, and that video I made of her, I got her a person who's really and miss social media, and so hopefully they will take, because I navigated that show for her to really show off who she was, and there are at least 10 to 20 little minute or so snippets that they can take out and turn into a good social media thing. There are many things a government can do to create, social community, fabric, blah, blah, blah. Our community needs to co-create this social fabric of individual responsibility. We need to see each as neighbors rather than the alien other. As neighbors, we need to understand we reflect each other. When my neighbor is doing well, I am doing well. And this well-being creates a healthy community. For each neighbor to be healthy, it needs a balance of intellectual, financial, cultural, and social moral protection to perform as a nourishment of the organism, like a cell within the body politic of the community. One, intellectual is more than a diploma. Intellect is a Greek root for knowing by experience. When I was a boy in New York City in the early 50s, I learned to keep quiet and listen actively to my elders, whose challenges were not seen as limitations to be complained as discrimination, to be processed with handouts, but rather seen as an opportunity to make oneself better, where differences were celebrated rather than intimidated into being a Velveeta melting pot. New York City, like Roanoke, then and now, is a cosmopolitan salad bowl of culture. Chinatown, Little Italy, Harlem, Spanish Harlem, Fifth Avenue, East Side, Lower East Side, West Side, countless other neighborhoods where all religious, socially, and cultural, separate and diverse communities living on top of each other, not as Velveeta cheese, but as a salad bowl, where English wasn't the primary language spoken in each of these neighborhoods. Like, from 69th Street on 2nd Avenue all the way up to the northern end of Harlem. Every 4 blocks was a different nationality. Lithuanian, Greek, Italians, about 5 different types of Italians, Jews, about 12 different types of Jews, and they all spoke different languages. They all had different food. They all had all differences, and no one, different churches, different religions. No one, no one went after them. That was New York, a salad bowl, you know? So, boo, boo, boo. Education was not only learned from our elders. PS 122, where I went to, was where our public school was. And it was first primary experience of my body politic. Meaning I went to Catholic school, nearly got murdered there, went off and studied with the, they weren't priests, they were scholars, right? Even though they were part of a lot of different traditions. But PS 122 was really interesting because it was in Columbia University. It was at a university. It was like a private school. First primary experience of my body politics, opening the doorway to opportunity. Other teachers were the measure of the community self-service, an example of citizen employment through the education of the individual through improvement, self-improvement. Now these folks were part of a union, and they got, they couldn't get fired. They got a pretty good salary. They got health care and they got retirement. So they wouldn't have to worry about it. So they put all their energy into being our mentors and our teachers. Boo, boo, boo. Yep, she's running for office. Yep. Can I ask you something? Of course, Lynn, you can always ask me. When you say that you are homeless, are you? Yeah. But existentially, we're all homeless. But yes, I've lost everything, meaning to be able to get the kind of health care I need and the other kind of accesses to, we have no theft in America. I had to, I own nothing. And that is the most freedom, I have no, my credit rating is minus 800. Back when I worked in the corporate structure, I had a plus 800 credit score. Right now, don't own anything, right? And, but, as my grandma would say, don't, live like a millionaire, but don't be one. So, I stay with John at the school. And when I paid taxes on the school for 15 years, I didn't own it. It was a sacramental shamanic temple. So I just took, spiritually took care of him. Now John is physically taking care of him. He fixed all the leaks. He's painted the floors. He's done all kinds of things to, physically make it better. But he doesn't go outside. He doesn't sit under a tree. He doesn't let the animals talk to him. He tried, that the flora and fauna just come in and out of that building at will. You can't stop it, and say, see, like, those little bombs, those bug bombs you turn on, and right, you're not supposed to be in there. He would turn them on, and his eyes blew up. His head looked like a watermelon. He was wondering. At the same time, he was using the most toxic paints in the universe, doing the floors, and he was living amongst it. I mean, I when he started doing that, that was the first time I came, in March. I came, and that's when I got my infection and tried to take care of it here, but I couldn't, so I had to go back. And luckily, he was just finishing up. But he was like, and he says, oh, the bugs are biting me, and that's why I look. No, the bugs weren't biting him. He killed them all. He was killing himself. So, I mean, they're going to come back in as soon as the toxicity of that place goes back to the neutral zone. And, how do you not let the bugs bite you? You meditate. You don't eat crap food, All I can eat is vegetables that I boil and then I put in the blender so I don't eat any, maybe once in a while I'll come to the IHOP and have some pancakes. I don't put syrup on it. I can't. I have diabetes. Not really. And so, that's the storyline, So, yes, I'm homeless, but, I'm living like a millionaire. I'm just not being one.
So you just dropped them again. You did it again.
Yeah, Eden, what are you? Like Buddha? Yeah, that's me. I'm like Buddha. I'm like, if you would take Fonzie and put Buddha together, that's kind of me. Yes. I don't think I have too much in common with anybody except I'm empathetic to everyone, even rich people. I'm empathetic to, so I can talk to anyone. You know? Because I don't see them as anything other than my brother and sister. And being homeless, that word is just meant to scare you. There's nothing wrong. Being homeless. I mean, I've worked with homeless people for a long time. And I still do. And because I'll go to where they are, I look like them, and but I sit and listen to their story because no one else listens to them, and I give them that little pebble in the pond to like make their life better. And if we all did that to everyone, make their life better. And there's many a time that I say I'm too distracted by what's ever going on in the minute, and so I don't give my brother and sister the time I should. Right? But then that's why I try to stay aware, conscious. My conscious free will. I try to keep that. I'm at about 80%. That other 20%, I'm a moron, and there's about 1% that I've gotten down to 1% where I am habitual. I do things out of habit rather than awareness. Right? So. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-hmm. I owned a lot of property. I was a landlord. I had a lot of buildings, a lot of houses. I had 4 different houses. I had the school. I had my place in down in the Florida Keys. I had a place um, in West Virginia. I had a place um, in Tennessee. And I would spend about a month or 2 or 3 in each of them, because they're all beautiful, all special, and all had their best moment. Um, but I had some stuff in Stewart, Florida, and I had some stuff and a bunch of stuff in Roanoke and a bunch of stuff in other places because I had the money to buy them. And I was traveling around and I would come across these great deals. So I just buy them, and I'd rent them out to people who needed them, not trying to. I remember one time I bought these little houses in this neck of the woods. And then right on that edge, like I bought like 7 houses for $75,000, right? Like 10 grand a piece, give or take. Then that neighborhood went from like, trailer trash to it changed because from having no employment, it went to having this big, Silicon Valley thing. So the rents went from like $200 a month for a little house to $1,200, right? But the people who could only pay $200 were still there. And so I still just charged $200. And the rich people who bought everybody out, they couldn't push me out because I had enough money to pay whatever taxes there were. There was no way I was working for the best lawyers on the planet. They even thought about trying to do anything. I would say, oh, well, okay, good. And I would stick one of my buddy lawyers on them who owed me a favor, and they would eat them alive. It cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I wouldn't have to do anything. The lawyer would make the money. It would just kind of feel good about himself for going after a scumbag like that. And after about the 3rd time, people just left me alone. And it got to a point where the people who I let stay there for $200, it wasn't doing them any good. It was enabling them to do things they shouldn't be doing. So I got a really good offer. I sold it, and that's when I bought the school, So, and had enough money to buy the deep green and a few in my place down in the Florida Keys, So I did, and I made out on my taxes on it, right? Anyway, and that's what's living like a millionaire. And then when I crashed and burned into the plate of spaghetti, That was the universe saying, okay, it's time for you to, you've had your fun. You spent 10 years being, Mr. Hedonist. Okay, you're not going to die, but you can still pay for it. Yeah, so it took me 5 years to like crawl back to this health. And as my endocrinologist says, I'm the healthiest dead guy he knows. I got this nasty infection where they had to take all my teeth. And my body is really susceptible to things like that. And, about a year and a half before that, I got a really nasty infection in my leg where they were going to take my leg off. I said, no, 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 no. I need this, this, and this. And I found the right doctors who said, okay, yeah, we'll do what you say. That'll be interesting. And they did. And, I didn't lose my leg, or my kneecap or anything else, the really crazy shit they wanted to do. And so all these obstacles, so people go, oh, I don't talk about them. I don't go, ooh. I just keep plugging away, keep in, being your sensei Al Bob, your griot. Let's see, richest people are the poorest. Yeah, pretty much the Bible says that. Yeah. Yeah. I got his leg out because, yeah. I mean, that's what they wanted to do. And I said, no, we're not doing that. Because if you do that, you're dead in 2 years. Because it changes your body chemistry so drastically, your body just goes in long-term shock, right? Yeah. And there was not much I could do about my teeth because my mom had cottage cheese for teeth. So they were going to go. I just was making them last as long as I could. And then I got that infection and that was that. But, I had, I got 16 teeth taken out of my head for $40. Whereas here with the meth dentist, he charges $100 a tooth. So, and the dental surgeon that I go to, he's a really, really, really good dental surgeon. And he was at the top of notch when he retired. And he decided, I got a lot of money. Why don't I just help people who need help? And he does. But he's the only good surgeon there. So you got to wait. But he's my buddy. So he said, so do you think you can stand all these teeth taken out in one shot? I said, well, let's try it. And then we'll stop at that point. And if you can, not have me wait 6 months. He goes, yes, I'm going to put down in my book 3 dates within a 2-week period. And okay, let's start. So he started this half, took that, and then he said, well, I think we better stop. So, he took about 5 out here, and then he went the other 5 over here. And he took 2 here and 1 over there, and bingo, I was a gummy boy. Took 3 shots. But, and I, he gave me, when he went after my canines, which kind of wrap around your head, and there were other really nasty teeth around them, he gave me a Novocaine, I couldn't even feel my kneecaps, So, yeah, the worst pain you can have is dental pain. Lana, the best word for F is frack. Those fracking morons. Those, frack you. I loved, that TV show, Battlestar Galactica, frack, so say we all. And all that pain. The one thing about pain, and one thing, so then I was, I had exquisite pain for 2.5 weeks. And plus being, exposed to John Boy and the Toxic Avenger. And then I got the infection, which they gave me super jungle juice. I had infection, and the meth dentist gave me antibiotics. But when the guy took the rest of the teeth out, it was still there. And he said, so I'm going to have to give you something. This is going to kill everything in your body. Right? And then you're going to be susceptible to anything. So you're going to have to work, Anyway, long short of it, yes. It got everything out, that went away. My endocrinologist said, okay, but now you're going to have to take a month. So he gave me some intense and probiotics, which had their own effect. And I got a little buggy in my sinus and a little buggy in my throat, and a little went into my lungs, but none of it became tonsillitis or septic sinusitis or pneumonia. It was kind of annoying. And they gave me a few other little things to like try to kick it out, which it kind of kicked it out. But the thing that really kicked it out was I meditated 5 times a day, which is kind of what I needed to do anyway. So everything works out for a reason. So right now, I'm building the flora and fauna back in my body, and it's coming back, but hasn't come back. And so let's see, how long have we been on? An hour and 5 minutes. So a few more minutes, and I think we're going to do. I won't read more of my little thing here. I'll do that the next time. What I think we're going to do is so it's sunny over there and the black clouds are over there, right? So we're going to do a visualization of puffing this bad weather, because I don't want to run around and do my errands in the rain. But we will go into state, right? Start breathing out. And 1. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. I'm going to say a little prayer here, and we're going to put the rainstorm on hold for at least 3 or 4 hours, okay? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, as it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without amen. And in every day and every way, we'll take the piece of the earth and make it stronger. Right? Make it stronger. Take that love and put it in your heart and reflect it in your imaginary mirror on yourselves. Let go of all your anger, all of your fear. Love your brother and sister in every day and every way. Every person you see isn't the other. It's your brother and sister. It's only your relations. See it clearly. And I love you all. And Lana, come on. Give me a drop a note at my and anyone else, but dudewake42 at Gmail, and I'll get back with you, in a more personal way. I mean, hey, it's nice to talk to you all on the live chat, but hey, start making some comments down in the comment zone, and a few more thumbs up might be nice. And as I am less on the live chat, maybe you guys get your friends together and go watch some of the shows. Whoever has a nice big screen to put Sensei, Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob, and watch a show. Share a show amongst, that's shamanism. When Jesus said, when more than 2 people come together in my name, bingo, there I am. And he was talking about love's co-creation, not about Jesus. And that's not even his name. It's a Roman name. Oh, it's raining. Come on. Get that black cloud over there. It's raining on one side of the parking lot and not on the other side. So we kind of did it. Just, stop it. Come on. Let me get out there before it starts really raining, okay? I love you guys. Stay well, stay good. Stay in contact. And I'm gonna say goodbye right now. At 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 11 seconds. That's when I'm going to. Right. Hey, Twitchy, good to see you, girl. Here's Lana, Twitchy. I still have the Discord server that's set up. Anyone? Yes, come on, go get a hold of Twitchy and, start interacting on the Discord server. I have no idea how to use it, but you guys do. So, okay, I'll drive safe. I always try and do it. And so, stop the rain so I don't get totally sopped. Because when I came in here, it was sunny. I didn't bring my umbrella. Uh, Come on, stop the rain. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. That's why I learned from the old crone to stop rain. You can stop rain within a 5-minute period. So I'll be all packed up and just get in the car. Anyway, Uncle Fugnuts, good to see you, buddy. So sometime this week, I'll be someplace where I can go back online, and I'll try and do it about the same time, somewhere in the morning around between 9, 10, 30, and stay on till about 1 or 2. I'll get in one of my comfy zones of a restaurant. Okay. Okay. I love you guys. You stay well, be good. I'll talk to you later. Let's see. I'll sign off this way. End stream. Come on. There it is. And yeah.